The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Tsuburaya Productions. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Tokutalk. Marcus and Jacob here to discuss arcs in Toku.
Ultraman.
No, we talked about Ultraman arc at length.
The ship sailed. The ship has sailed. Apparently the movie just... Let's fucking go! Anyway, man.
We'll review it when it comes out.
We will! I'm so excited! Go! Where the... Go!
For those watching, I don't know that I've ever seen this seen him this ecstatic about a movie.
Arcs.
Yeah.
What
about him?
What one sticks out to you the most? We've gone through a lot of them.
Yeah. Do you want for the good reasons or for bad reasons?
Let's do bad to good first.
Okay, bad to good. The one that sticks out for bad reasons the most. And like when I hear the phrase like arcs in Toku, this honestly might be the first one that comes to my head for all the wrong reasons, and that is the corporate competition arc, the tournament arc from Kamen Rider 01.
That is the worst. It goes on too long.
Yep.
It needed to be about 5 episodes shorter.
Maybe even less, I would say.
Well, I think it was only like 10 episodes.
There were outside forces. It was shot during the pandemic, force majeure and all that. They had to work around that. So I understand that.
No, that one wasn't shot during the
Oh,
pandemic.
that one wasn't? Well, then you have no excuse.
Yeah, the ending of the show was shot during the pandemic because it happened during early on in Kira Major's run. Mm-hmm. Because Red had COVID.
The fact that every episode, it's like, I'm going to buy your company. Well, you're evil. We don't want that. And it's like, well, then I challenge you to a duel of corporatism, and whoever wins shall win. And every episode ends exactly the same with Mr. 1000% cheating in some way. Either cheating or saying it didn't count because he wants to win, because he wants to win next time for realsies. The next one will count. This is just a practice round.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and ruin Aruto by infecting him with all of these bad grasshoppers.
Yeah, it doesn't
bad
work.
locusts. Terrible.
Nah.
It's a terrible arc. I mean,
it goes on for way too long. It's terribly written. It has really one of the worst villains in Toku history with Mr. 1000%. He sucks so much.
The end of that show just.
And then they kind of try and redeem him at the end, and I just didn't care because he was terrible.
They should not have. It was awfully done.
No, he should have been rider kicked in the head.
Yeah. And
died. That would have been a more satisfying arc to his character.
I'm trying to think of some... Oh, okay. Remember the third arc of Gal Ranger? The one with the 2-headed monster?
No.
That's the worst arc.
That's the worst one.
Yes, really. It's really bad. I mean, it's so...
Please refresh my memory.
It's so
Gal Ranger
bland.
was a long time ago.
It's so boring. The villain isn't good. It's just like, why are we here? If I remember correctly, the only interesting thing that happens during that arc is the deaths of the other 4, but they come back in an episode. It's just boring. I think that was the worst thing. But a lot of Gal Ranger is boring.
Yeah.
So.
Also true.
What can you do? In regards to another bad one, but it's not as bad as these other ones because it ends really strongly. It's the second arc of Go Sager.
The pollution arc?
Yes.
We've brought that one up a couple of times on this channel. Again, that one it just was like in one ear and out the other. I didn't hate it enough for it to stick around in my head.
When Matt and I watched it originally back in college,
right?
We did it was boring. I mean, what is it? Gosei Knight isn't the most interesting character for most of that, but the ending of that, where they end up having to storm the castle and they fall up a down escalator. Is still one of, like, that whole section when he takes over the building and they're just inside it. It's so interesting because they actually got really inventive in how they did things. But the rest of that art sure, it's them outsmarting Beretta around, but it's not presented well to me. Multiple arcs in Turbo Ranger, because who cared? Actually, all of Turbo Ranger, but that's not just a singular
we
arc.
went in depth in that one as much as we could.
Yeah, it's not just a singular arc.
The final stretch of I'm freezing on the name of the show, damn it. Where they fight Satan. It was one of the Metal Heroes.
Oh. It was one of the space sheriffs.
Well, no, it wasn't a space sheriff. It was a rescue force one.
Exceedraft.
Exceedraft, thank you. I completely forgot the name. Yeah, the final stretch of Exceedraft where they fight Satan.
Where it went from science to magic. That's when it got
It's not just that it went from science to magic. It went from pretty grounded show about rescuing people to firefighters and policemen battling the forces of hell. Battling the Lord of Hell. And
including an archangel, Michael.
Who took the form of a little girl and tried to immaculately conception a woman, and then decided, no, the Jesus is in you all along.
Was it Jesus or was it the spawn of Satan?
No, Michael was a good guy.
But one of
they were trying to impregnate her with the Godchild.
Oh, that's right.
And then
I thought it was the spawn of Satan.
No, that wouldn't make any sense.
Well, that whole arc was the spawn of Satan.
But then again, also true. That one is just, it is one of the best examples of tonal whiplash, of just, what sort of like late night coke fueled session where the writer's like, how do we end this thing? I don't know what to do. How do we I got it! Satan! Ain't no bigger bad than that. Our rescue force is gonna take on Satan, and it's gonna be amazing.
Terrible.
Yes.
I feel like if there is another bad one that I do want to talk about, I'm trying to remember right off the top of my head. It's the arc with Gavin and Go Busters. Where they end up getting the cards and everything, because that arc doesn't get good until you find out that one of them is in Hiromu's head. But up until that point where it's just enter, putting cards, the Messiah cards, into random monster, I'm just like, no. That also came about the same part that they gave the second opening. Ugh.
The least good one.
We've already talked about the entire back half of Hibiki at length.
Yes, but it bears repeating. I think it's another case of like tonal whiplash where we're in the woods, we're dealing with the Oni, and we're just like, it has such a different vibe. And then it becomes so much more traditional towards the end that it is to the detriment.
The Shadow Moon Returns art in Black RX. Who asked for that? Probably people who thought it would be popular to do it again, but they just completely ruined Shadow Moon's character.
Mm-hmm. How so for the viewers at home?
Let's see. Trying to think of some other. The first arc of Blade.
Okay, why?
It doesn't set the characters up well. I think it's a little bit too scatterbrained in what they wanted to present. Mm-hmm. Because Blade gets really good as the show goes along. It gets amazing. But that first arc is just like, eh. And I love Blade. I've talked about it at length on the show. I love Blade. But that first arc is just like... And also...
And furthermore...
Yeah, it doesn't start off well, but once you get past like the first, I want to say 8 to 10 episodes, when things really start to get going, that's when the show's strength really starts to shine.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that part in Dino when she gets replaced with Little Girl. The show didn't know what it wanted to do for a little bit after that.
Do you want to switch over to the good?
I'm trying to think of some of the bad ones before I forget.
Okay.
Oh, Gabby Rizzo and Ninja. But Gabby Rizzo didn't do enough for all the stuff that he was supposed to have with Ninja Red.
Remind me who that was.
He was that first general. Yeah. He was just like, oh, I have a rivalry with Ninja Red now. And then he died like an episode later. And you're just sitting here like, what was the reason? I need the Cardi B meme of what was the reason right here.
I'm afraid I don't have one for you. Moving on to the good.
Trying to think of some of the bad ones. I want to get through all the bad before I forget and I had to come back to it later because I wanted to keep our good.
Okay. Because I've said all I need to say.
I'm going. Oh God. Zyuohger, Azald, where you find out he was the reason that Zuo World happened.
Mm-hmm.
No.
There's a lot of things in that one.
No. Bad. Misao's arc after he turns good. That was just poorly done. Oh my God, Canelo. The arc involving Canelo when he first gets introduced, you find out his character.
And this is in
Ryusoulger.
Okay.
Terrible character. He's like Guy, but without any of the charm. So you just want to punch him in the throat.
There you go.
I want a wife. We don't want that for you. We do not. You will be alone now.
We want this fist to go in your throat.
Until you learn how to act right. So that's where you're going to be. Those are the ones that pop off right at the top of my head. I think Ko's introduction arc as Keeper Ranger was a little weak as well.
Oh yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah, it's not great.
Sucks.
Yeah, he was not great until after he got over himself and got humbled. Anything outside of the Zyuranger, the Dragon Ranger arc in Zyuranger?
Would you call that an arc or just the rest of
the rest of the show?
Just the rest of the show. That's not really an arc. That's just Zyuranger.
I'm looking at all the stuff we have on the table. Gives me an idea. I think we can move on to good now.
Okay. Before we do, let's just talk. I just want to say a little thing about arcs in general. Something that they should do. Ideally, have a start point, have an end point. Have our characters end in a different spot than they did where they begin.
Yes.
And that doesn't just entail beating up the bad guy.
Yes.
Because sometimes that's what happens. It's like, we have this arc, but it's like, this villain has showed up, we have to fight him for a bunch of episodes, and then eventually we win.
Yeah.
No one really changes, nobody really learns anything.
Yeah.
Or grows as a person. I think some of the shows that have done arcs the best would be King-Ohger, would be Geets, and I think I would throw Boon Boonger in there as well.
Booger's really good. I would also throw Liveman.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'd like to do that one first.
Oh, go ahead, please.
So, it's mostly that Liveman as a whole is fairly good. There were a couple of parts in there, looking at you, Vega Baby, the goddamn dinosaur episodes, which are not great. But,
oh well.
The ending of Liveman, especially when they find out, like, I call it the realization arc.
Yeah.
When they find out that the other two are robots created, and how Bucci ends up reacting to that, and how Megami ends up reacting with Bucci, with him like causing all this destruction. He's just like crying the entire time, and finding out how far Bias would go.
Yes.
To get
the realization of Bias Sama's true intentions.
Yeah.
Of the scope of his whole plan, and the lengths that he is willing to go to achieve said plan.
And how we talked about Mazenda at length, Dr. Kemp and his going insane. How the fact that Go got out. Dr. Astrada and him realizing that Beast was just doing this for comedy for the most part, and he was still just as dumb as he was before. It's such a good arc, and the way that it I feel like it could have ended a little bit stronger, but everything up to that ending, because I think the end of the show just ends on a clip show and you're just like or look back at the entire rest of the season, they don't really get a lot of after, which I think is the thing that they miss. They need that after to come down.
That's a show that could use an anniversary.
Yeah. Oh God. 1989? 35 years?
That's as old as me,
yeah. But yeah, it's just... Yeah. Well, Liveman's just great. So,
it is.
Another good one.
Another good one, one that really sticks out is the part of Geets. What is is it Tycoon? Is that the panda?
No.
The deuteragonist? What's his name?
The panda?
I might be getting the animal wrong, but the deuteragonist, the one that's like green.
Oh, that's Tycoon.
That is Tycoon. Okay.
He's a Tanuki.
So Tanuki, thank you. So specifically, it's the part of the show where he just kind of snaps.
Yeah.
This is an example of good tonal change. An example done right, where you've had this character be so optimistic and so hopeful and be more of our like traditional shonen protagonist up to this point.
Versus Geets.
Who
is Kabuto.
Who is just everything happens the way I will it to because I'm the best at everything and shut up. And that's the way he works. And I think it works for him. But the way Tycoon gets repeatedly knocked down over and over and over until the moment where he just finally breaks.
Well, the thing is, I think you also have to realize, in retrospect, Tycoon's not a good person.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Everything that he does is specifically... He says he's doing it for the people, but he's only really doing it for his family.
I don't know that makes him bad.
No, because you got to remember, he will sacrifice others for the sake of his family only. His wishes are always in relation to having his family be the best that they can be, wishing his mom and dad back at the expense of other people. Tycoon's character arc is really, honestly interesting because you sort of see after he turns bad that this is sort of where he was at the beginning, but just ramped.
Interesting. Never thought about that.
And you really end up seeing it during the Geets Revice movie. Because like there's a part where it's him in a mirror, but it's really his inner thoughts being shown to him more or less. Tycho's not a good person.
But still, like the part where it all comes to the surface and he is willing to like essentially sell his soul to the devil if it means getting the power that he wants. And this is like like you said, it's to save his sister.
Yeah.
After she's been turned.
It killed in one part. But it's just like he's very selfish. And there's nothing exclusively wrong with being selfish, as we see with Kamen-Rider, where she ends up being selfish for the sake of her people. Yeah. Or even Hachioger, especially, because he'll do anything for his people. But when it ends up coming to Tycoon, you end up realizing that his selfishness is always at the expense of something else. And the show ends up making a point of that. Like, your wishes are going to be at the expense of something else. He has a very interesting character arc, and I think he might honestly end up being worth a whole episode, just a character retrospection in and of itself.
Interesting. I gotta rewatch Geets.
But yeah. Some other good ones.
One that if we're gonna talk about characters, we gotta talk about Reckless.
That's an arc, man.
We gotta talk about Reckless.
That is an arc of a character. Arc of the Covenant.
Truly was a covenant between him and many others.
Yes. His arc always happens in the background. But man, is it...
But when it gets brought to the forefront and you understand what was going on...
When he is put on trial, is one of the greatest scenes in that show. It's so good. Yep. It's just like, this proves that Reckless is the best character in this show. And honestly, I'll stand by that. He's great.
Thinking 5 moves ahead of everybody else.
So
trying to have a contingency plan for everything, and then in the end revealing that all of his evil deeds were all for the sake of...
the world.
For the sake of the entire world. To get a leg up on Dagdead.
It's weirdly enough almost a reverse of Tycoon. I say almost. Because obviously the scale of things is much bigger.
Yes.
But in this case, it's just like he starts off... is coming off as really antagonist. He's the secondary antagonist of that first arc with the Bugnarok. And then the show goes along, finding out everything that he did was really to just save as many people as he possibly could because he thought that everybody was going to die. I fucking love King-Ohger.
Yes.
Yes,
we do.
So good.
It is one of the best. He's one of the best and most interestingly written characters in Toku.
Yeah.
I think, like, in Toku history.
Uh,
I want to switch over to... What do you want to talk about?
So I have both Zenkaiger and Kaiser Black here, but specifically the reason I'm looking at that, I want to talk about Stacy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Zenkaiger.
Stacy's arc is great.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you realize that the character was supposed to be killed off.
Oh, when?
Early.
Early? Okay.
I mean, really early.
Oh.
But he got really popular and he kept coming back, and that's how we got the whole thing with him and Kaito.
Oh, so it was an Abdul situation.
Well, it was actually more of a Baron situation.
Oh, okay.
What in this case, while Baron got a new form, Stacy got a new form, but he also got a whole thing with the grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Which I loved his arc, going from working against the Zenkaigers with the Toji Tendo and all of that, coming around to actually, advocating for the people and being sort of the ambassador for the Toji Tendo world to everybody else. Mm-hmm. And Kaito's boyfriend, but
I want to switch over to Ultraman.
Okay.
The beginning of Nexus.
Yes.
Pretty much everything involving the girlfriend character.
Oh.
And that twist and that reveal
is still one of the wildest things. Yeah. That scene in the apartment.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It was good.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Holy shit. Just the scribblings and seeing like the mannequins of the parents.
Mm-hmm. The empty table.
She's been dead the whole time.
She was dead the whole time.
It's still, because it's sort of shown.
Yes.
But the way that they reveal it.
Yes. It's the setup, this arc in particular, just like the setup of, looking back in retrospect, it is more traditional Ultraman, but we are adding a little bit more of a supernatural layer to it. We are adding a little bit more of a horror layer to it. And then when that all culminates in Switch, and that's when the show, after that reveal, that's when the show, I think, lessens. I agree. I think it is the best part of the show, and I think it does drop in quality after that. But it's still the best part.
Nexus should not have come on at the time slot that it did. That was the biggest problem with Nexus.
When was that?
7 a.m. It was either 7 or 7:30.
No,
it got more popular.
This is a primetime show.
Yeah, it got more popular when it came on at like 11 at night.
Makes sense.
That makes sense. This show is very dark. But man, oh man, is that first arc it's so goddamn cool. It's such a good arc. Let's see, what else? Oh, everything with Shinken Red. Especially when you end up finding out that he was not the head of the house. It was actually
his sister.
He was there to be essentially just a stand-in for up until she got the power to use the character to seal Dokuku away again. The first and last arc of Goseiger.
Okay.
Honestly, that last arc, especially everything with Metal Alice and all of that, fantastic. I mean, up until the end of the show, it was just so good.
What's one of the best things that stands out to you about it?
Really just Radon. Throughout pretty much that entire last part, where he ends up becoming Blade Runner. He ends up being cyberized and ends up getting his memory back and everything after being destroyed at the end of the second arc, and then him coming back as fully Lucifer. It was so good. So good.
A better version of fighting Satan.
Yes.
One might say.
Literally. Jesus Christ, that just sucked. Everything with Long, that whole arc in Geki Ranger, just the build up to it, then Jan's father coming back as Kenji-Oba, and just a lot of good in that. The whole Inferior Pantheon and Magic Ranger, just a great arc in general. Mostly just because I really like the designs of all the characters in that, but the fact that they gave each villain their own motivation, it wasn't just, I want to be the strongest, and I have Hades imperial reckoning to rain down upon the people in my certain game and everything. Also, just because Cyclops is that two part with Cyclops is still probably my favorite 2 episodes of Magic Ranger in general.
The Spender arc of Boon Boonger, I think, has done one of the best examples in Toku of a villain truly feeling like he is more powerful than the heroes.
And he was.
Someone who feels, it's like, oh, we really should be afraid of this guy.
Yeah.
He's not just another shouty general with a, big stompy boots and a loud voice who's going to scream and fire fireballs at us.
He's not Michael Jackson. He wants to be, though. I would honestly
the costume design, yeah.
I would honestly say the whole Diss Race arc in
the Diss Race arc is good. I think it really comes to a head though
with Mad Rex.
That's the best part of it.
Yeah.
I would say with the Spender stuff, with the reveals of Knight Rider's true intentions, with the last couple of episodes being our heroes on the run from a public that wants to turn them in. The just so many scenes of them just like out of suit and just like trying to hold it together amidst all the chaos, I think is where the best of that show is.
Honestly, I think that's a really good arc. Yeah, I think it's done better in King-Ohger for the second arc after the time skip.
I was going to bring out that one next. I was actually going to bring up that one next after the time skip. And are we talking about after the Death Rock arc?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was
going to I mean, both arcs of King-Ohger are really good.
Yes, but specifically this one, I think this is a great example of how do we move forward.
Yeah.
Because with the Death and Rock arc, we have our team coming together, putting aside their differences, learning to work as a team, defeating the villain, almost coming to a head where they would...
After the Death Rock arc, because it's not really them defeating the villain, it's Kamen Jim kills him.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. It's like they come to such a point where it's like they are about to form peace with Death the Rock.
Yeah.
And with Emperor Death the Rock, we can form peace with this man. We can work together. We can live in harmony with the Bugnarock Empire.
Your cousin is here.
Yeah, we got Jeremy. Good old Jeremy. I love him so much. And, but yeah, Kamen Jim kills him, and then... in the wake of that, how do we move forward?
Yeah.
How do we rebuild? How do we work together with our new neighbors? With Jeremy at the head of the Bugnarock Kingdom.
Yes.
How do we bring this all together?
We do have to go to the underworld for a little bit and then do all of that, and that ends up leading into the greatest arc of the fucking in-game. Literally fucking in-game.
I know. It's good stuff.
I might end up going back and rewatching the director's cut of that later today. It's so good. Other amazing arcs. The last arc of Blade.
Okay.
When things are really coming to a head and like the world is about to be overrun.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Blade himself ends up having to turn into the other Joker.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of all gets, fixed and Zio, but what can you do? Okay, all of Kuuga, yes. But specifically that last arc of Kuuga.
Okay, with Zeba?
Once Zeba actually starts showing... Well, not so much showing up, but his threat is there.
Yeah. And
Yusuke having to figure out, oh, this is how this is going to go. I'm slightly losing it. Everything after Titan, Mighty Titan form ends up showing up. Amazing Titan.
Mm-hmm. And
you end up seeing, the first glimpse of Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like we sort of know exactly where the show has to go, and then that, of course, that last fight scene of them just punching each other to death in the snow.
And the fact that even though he is the big bad of the series, still even in that fight scene, never quite fully given a good look.
Yeah,
you never really quite see him full in frame.
You don't get to see him until years later.
Mm. But still a great performance, still a great character.
Performance.
Mm-hmm.
Going through W, going through O's. Forze's final arc. It gets screwed over by its ending with Kenga.
Yeah. But it's not terrible.
No. Really like the second arc of Gaim.
Hmm.
With Kachidoki's debut and all of that, and them dealing with the overlords.
That's a good one, yeah.
Is anything else up here going to give me assistance? Kaku Ranger's second arc.
Okay.
When Tsuruhime's father comes back. I just really like that whole thing because I like their relationship with Vol Eagle 2.
Hmm. The final stretch of Dawn Brothers. With Don Momotaro losing his memories.
The peak of Sonoi being sad boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Don Murasame getting hit with the car.
Also that. Also that.
But yeah, finding out everything with Miho and Kiji brother and Inu brother and Sononi is just... The Dawn Brothers as a whole. But yeah, that arc is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say XA, but I think it just gets screwed over by the fact that whenever you end up putting time manipulation into anything, you got to be real careful. And the fact that we had to do like repetitions of beating Chronos but not beating Chronos, beating Chronos but not beating Chronos.
I would say like prior to that, everything with Dan.
Yes. Anything with that man, and with especially that first arc, leading up to...
Particularly that.
Yeah, leading up to Emu finding out that he was patient 0.
Mm.
And then that scene of Peridot just holding Dan and Dan just cackling madly.
Mm-hmm.
Love that, man.
Well, I believe I've said all I have to on the subject, unless you have anything else to add.
The last arc of Geet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, including the movie. But yeah, him, especially coming from the beginning.
Great show.
It's sort of in the background, his whole relationship with Belial.
Mm-hmm.
But it really comes to a head at the end of the show. Like, you gotta let him rest.
Essentially exercising the evil out of his father.
So good.
To put him to rest.
Such a great arc. Just a good show. Just a really good show. It's still up there as one of my favorite Tokus. So. But yeah. Trying to think of any other ones.
I think that'll do it, unless you got anything else.
Switching gears, the last arc of In Space.
Oh, okay. Back to Power Rangers. Yeah. I feel like that might be the only Power Rangers one we're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. That last arc of the last arc of In Space, the last arc of Time Force.
Also a good one.
Were just really, really well done. RPM's like their whole introduction arc.
That's a good one, yeah.
Was just...
The whole setup of the pending apocalypse rushing into the bunkers and then cutting years later to Mad Max.
Ending with... well, it sort of ends a little bit early, but you end up Dr. K's arc in that. Especially... Olivia, I can't remember her last name, but she just did such an amazing job as portraying that character. So... Seeing her whole arc come to a head when everybody ends up finding out that she created Benjix. And she just wanted to go outside. Like, it's understandable why she reacted that way, but man, oh man. The actress just sold it.
Very good.
Peak times. Remember when Power Rangers was good and not dead?
Uh-huh.
But yeah. Let us know what your favorite and least favorite arcs are in the comments below.
Please do.
Don't forget to join us for all the things, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.